You can see me.
Good evening, everyone. We are live with one of the 2020 Grade 6 National Assessment Scholars and her family. We have her mom and her dad, and they are going to tell us about an unfortunate experience that they had.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Catherine Samuel Harris. I am the mother of Serena Harris. For those of you who are aware, she came second in the 2020 National Assessment Exam. During this time, however, we had a pandemic, and as a result, there was no national youth rally both that year and the following year. In 2022, this was the first year that the youth rally was held since the pandemic. At that rally, awards were given for the past 3 years, namely 2020, 2021, and 2022. While listening to the youth rally, I heard the announcement of names being called to give the awards for the top performers of the Grade 6 National Assessment Exam. It started with 2020. I heard the first name called, then I heard someone else called for both the second and the third places. At that time, I was quite taken aback. I kept on listening. I was wondering what was going on. The 2021 years were called, and the names that were called were correct, in the correct order. The 2022 students were called, and they were called in the correct order. At this moment, I began to wonder what was happening. At that time, also, I was getting the numerous phone calls of people querying as to what was going on. That day, after the youth rally, we proceeded to go to the curriculum units to inquire what had transpired. And upon arriving there, we met with one of the secretaries who indicated to us that the other officials were still at the rally. Upon exiting the premises, we encountered one of the officers whom I knew, was familiar with, and we engaged in conversation because he realized that something was wrong. While talking to him, Mr. Gist had just arrived, so he parked his vehicle and he joined in the conversation. While we were talking, Dr. Blaze, at that moment, was coming from his office, and he too joined in the conversation. So basically, 4 of us were there talking. I explained to him what had happened, that names that were called at the youth rally for 2020, the second place and the third place were incorrect. And Dr. Blaze assured us that the matter would be dealt with and a press release would be put on to rectify the matter. On that same day, I had the opportunity to have a conversation with the PS at the time, Miss Hyacinth, and she indicated to me that she was on her way home, so I relayed the information to her and then she'd get back to me. That evening, maybe about after 9, Miss Hyacinth, I sent the information in regards to the positions that I acquired on the Ministry of Education site to reveal who the top 3 performers were for that year. And Miss Hyacinth realized what had happened, and she said she launched an investigation into the matter. She apologized for what had transpired and what my daughter had to experience, given on that very day my daughter was waiting to journey for school when she heard the students' names being announced for the different positions. Conversations kept on between the PS and myself for the weekend. She again indicated their sincerest apologies for what had transpired and assured us that the matter would be rectified. That was on the 2nd. On the morning of the 3rd of November, I received a call from the Minister of Education, who again apologized about the incident, and we stayed talking for a bit. And she came up with ideas of what would happen in an endeavor to fix, if I want for a better word, but we both came to the realization that it would not have been the same as it would be if she had actually received the award during the ceremony. So the minister indicated that they would do an immediate press release to indicate to the public that an error had been made. In addition to that, our daughter would be presented in a formal setting in the presence of the media. An award would be given to her. And a written apology was to be issued both to us as her parents and our daughter, Serena. That happened on the 3rd. Later that day, the minister again called to express her sincerest apologies again, and this time she asked to speak to her daughter, and she apologized to her personally, and she also, in speaking with her, revealed her own experiences she had. So she said that she really understood how she could have felt at that time, knowing that you were the one who had to receive the award and it was given to someone else. That happened on the 3rd of November. We were told that the matter would be rectified because that week, this was a long weekend, when the following came. From the 7th, I didn't hear from anyone, and I was wondering what was happening. Then on the 8th, I proceeded to make contact with the PS again to find out what was happening. She told me that they have recognized the error and they're in the process of procuring a plaque so they could present her in a formal setting with the award. That happened on the 8th. I also wrote to the minister and told her that given what she had stated, I have not heard from anyone, and there was no communication from neither the curriculum department either, or the PS at that time. I didn't get a response from the minister. However, the PS responded, and again she assured us that they were working on it and it will be dealt with. Time elapsed, and we are patiently waiting because they have recognized their error, and we're giving them an opportunity to get that error rectified as promptly as possible. And about the 14th of November, Mr. Gist, who is the assistant chief, delivered a letter to me at my workplace, and the letter indicated their level of apology and assured us again that the matter would be rectified promptly, and they were really sorry that she had to undergo such an experience. But there was no set date as to when they said that the matter would be rectified. They said in the near future. This was open, so I'm not sure what the near future meant. I guess they would have known. That was on the 14th. On that same day, from the 7th, the minister responded, and she was quite surprised to know that the matter had not dealt with, because if I may use her exact words, she said, "What you tell the media now?" So I told her yes, and I also told her the same day that she responded, that was the day I received the letter from Mr. Gist. So she said she would have spoken to the chief and the PS. The following day I told her we have been beyond patience with the Ministry of Education in allowing them some time to put the matter to rest. And I tell her and that matter should have been put to rest already. And her response was indeed. That was around the 16th of November. At that time, I still didn't hear from anybody else. I was a bit impatient, I would say. So on the 18th of November, I wrote to the PS because she had originally said that they were putting the plot in order. And I was not hearing from them, so I again wrote to her and expressed my disappointment in the manner in which they were handling the situation. And she responded by saying to me that they are in the process of making the plan, and if I don't believe, I can check for myself. And then she said she got word that I received the letter. I think it was about the 7th, so I told her no, I got the letter on the 14th. She also told me that Ms. Candy Robinson, who is the senior curriculum officer, she also got information from Miss Robinson that she had contacted both myself and my daughter, and she had spoken to our daughter. And I had to tell her I never heard from Miss Robinson, and that information was inaccurate, given that I never received any phone call from Miss Robinson, sorry. Okay, time passed, and she said the matter is being dealt with by the chief, so the chief will communicate with me. And this was the last communication that was on the 18th of November I had with the PS. And I realized time was passing, and it appeared as if nothing was going to be done to rectify the matter. Unfortunately, we had to seek legal counsel. So we spoke to our lawyer is Miss Cara Shillingford-Mash, and we visited her office and relayed the story of what had transpired. We decided not to send them a letter yet, but to give them some time just to see if the matter would be rectified. After about a week, we noticed nothing had happened. So about the 22nd of December, a letter was sent to the Ministry of Education by Ms. Shillingford, asking to indicate a specific date that they were going to present the award, given that they had already given me the assurance that they would present the award, not just present it, but present the award in a formal setting. They responded to indicate that the award will be presented by the 13th of January. Again, the 13th of January came, and we were waiting. Unfortunately, at that time, Ms. Shillingford was on medical leave, so we waited to see what would have happened. Then about I think it's the 26th, it was a Wednesday, last Wednesday, last Tuesday, sorry, Mr. Giss visited me at work with 2 invitations. On these 2 invitations, he said they're going to do the presentation tomorrow at my daughter's school. So I said tomorrow, because he came it was just about 1:30, just a little after 1. And I said, maybe you're coming now, they visit and the ceremony is tomorrow. I asked, did you read the letter from the lawyer? He said, yes, they did. And he said, remember that one of the conditions for gaining the award was that it would be done in the presence of the media. If I may backtrack a bit, when Mr. Giss came to me on the 14th, I remember asking, because that was one of the biggest questions we had, why did that happen? Because I really wanted to understand, what could have caused that to happen. And he told me that there was a glitch in the system and it shifted names around. I was a bit puzzled, because I said to him, I remember saying to him, a glitch in the system and it shifted names around. So I told him, but it didn't affect the first place. Why is it that it affected only the second and the third place? So this was kind of puzzling to me, but I'm not an ICT expert, so I couldn't draw any further conclusion. Rather, it still left me in a state of puzzlement, if you have to use that word. Because a glitch, if there's a glitch for 2020, in my humble opinion, that glitch would affect all 3 students. It only affected the second place student and the third place students. Now if we move forward, when he brought the invitation to me, I'm on the, I think it was the 25th, I don't use dates, I'm not 100%, it was last week, Tuesday, I read it.
24th.
24th. I remembered saying to him, did you read the conditions? Because the conditions said in the presence of the media. He said, yes, the media will be there. I asked, which media? He said, the Ministry of Education media will be there to bring the ceremony live. And the GIS will be there. So I asked, what about the other medias? He said, given the time, they normally would have to give them 24 to 48 hours. So he's not sure if they will be able to attend the ceremony. So I said, but remember, part of the condition was that the reward had to be presented in a public forum in the presence of the media. Okay, so he said, he assured me that they would do it live using the Ministry of Education media, and after it will be disseminated to all media houses in the event that the other media houses were not able to come. We received an invitation. It said that the ceremony would start at 8:15 on the following morning, and he basically summed it up by saying they would have the assembly, and after that the ceremony would start. The following morning came, and we drove our daughter to school as normal, and given that we were told that it would start about 8:15, we waited while they were at assembly. But while we were waiting, we heard that she was called by Mr. Gist to come up on the balcony at the school. He was not aware that we were there, we were not asked for, but then we made ourselves visible. When he saw us, he asked the school body to welcome us, and we came up, and he proceeded to make the presentation to her, the plaque indicating that she came second, as well as a small check, I should say. During that time, prior to giving her the plaque, he explained to the student body what had transpired in the fact that a next student was mistakenly given the award instead of our daughter, and they apologized and thanked my family for the patience. And thank my family for the patience that they exhibited during that time, because it could have definitely turned out differently had we taken different actions. Had we taken different actions, it could have definitely turned out in a different manner. When I got upstairs, one of the first questions I remember asking Ms. Robinson was, where is GIS? Because in our discussion the previous day, Mr. Gist indicated that GIS would be present as well as the media. She was in the process of presenting the plaque to our daughter, so I guess I didn't get a response from her at that time. I would not call it a ceremony, but the presentation of the plaque and the check went on. We proceeded to take pictures after, and that was the end of it. I should say though, the day Mr. Gist indicated to me that he was not sure if the media would be available, I took on my own, I took the initiative to contact Emonews myself. So I asked them if I remember sending the invitation to them and asked if they were aware of that, because I remember Mr. Gist said he had asked, but he's not sure whether or not the other media houses were able to come. They being one of the media houses, I decided to contact them, but they were not aware, so I asked if our family could request presence. So Emonews did send someone to do the live, because we wanted it ourselves. But given the time it had started prior to the 8:15 as indicated on the invitation, that was not made possible. What was quite baffling is afterwards, while we stayed out and outside on the main road, and we were just basically communicating amongst ourselves because there were a few other people present. The media arrived. The gentleman for the Ministry of Education who had to carry the presentation live, he came just roughly about 8:30. So I remember we saying to him that he's late. He said no, he was told to come at 8:30, and we kept telling him over and over, no, you may have made a mistake. He said no, I hope Mr. Gist, and Mr. Gist told me to come at 8. Told me to come at 8:30 to do the live. This raised my eyebrows, and I was wondering why would he be told to come at 8:30 when the invitation said 8:15, and here we are today. And that's what happened in a nutshell. My daughter not receiving the award at the set time, which would have been November 2nd, 2022.
The first thing I would like to find out from Serena is, where were you and how did you feel on November 2nd?
On November 2nd, I was at the stadium. I didn't know they were giving prizes for the grade 6 national assessment of 2020. When I heard 2 other names called for the second and third place, I was quite puzzled. When I got home, my mother broke the news to me and she explained what happened. I didn't know something like this could possibly happen.
And how did you feel? So you're there at the stadium and you're hearing somebody else's name being called when you know that it should have been your name. What did that make you feel?
I was quite shocked and I was a bit angry because all my hard work and things that I did to get second place, and someone else goes up there and receives the award. So I was quite shocked and a bit angry.
Let's also get from Dad his feelings as well.
Well, it was unbelievable. I just couldn't understand how this could have happened. A glitch or mistake, I have problems believing that. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. That's how I feel.
Okay, so we to get back to the facts of the matter. So a glitch happened. You said that you went to the curriculum unit that's on High Street. I think they call it High Street.
Yeah.
About what time did you get there? You said it was the same day.
It was the same day at 2 p.m. Actually, they were not even aware that had happened. I was the one who brought it to their attention, and I remember telling them that year, I knew, if I may show this newspaper, this is the newspaper of that year. And I remember saying to them, this year was very special for me, so I will never forget it. That year, at that time I was a grade 6 teacher at the St. Mary's Primary. So that year, my students came 5th, that's Denari Samuel, and my daughter was 2nd, Serena Harris. So this is something I really did not forget. And I was also looking at the other students, and I remember the child who came first because she was a national reading champion, and my daughter was a national primary school's mathematics champion, and Denari Samuel was 2nd place in the national primary school champion. So how could I forget 2020? I had 2 children, if I could use that expression, being top performers, not only in the grade 6 national assessment that year, but in the mathematics competition. So I relayed the names to them. I told them, these are names I never forgot. So it indicated to me that they would investigate the matter to find out what had transpired and how could that have happened.
So when you got there, you said you met with the secretary?
I met with the secretary. I think I stand to be corrected, but I think she's the secretary of Mr. Gist.
Okay.
And she proceeded to make a few phone calls. I remember she's speaking to Miss Robinson, I wish she got her. And the secretary, I remember asking, are you sure because she just spoke with Miss Robinson. Miss Robinson told her, she could not remember my daughter's name. So I'm like, and that's when I also proceeded to tell her about the children who came in the top 5, because I remember that clearly. Anyway, she told me that Miss Robinson said I could come in to see her on a Monday, and when we were leaving, that's when we met an education officer. I knew him because I'm a teacher as well, so I knew him. So he asked what was wrong, and I started the conversation with him, and then Mr. Gis joined, and then Dr. Liz.
But at that point, just to be on the I don't even know what to say. But in 2020, Mr. Gis wasn't the Assistant Chief Education Officer at 2020.
Well, I am not in a position to say that. I'm not sure what his position was then.
Because I don't think he was, though. I think he was on the Senior Education Officer for Math. I don't think he was. But anyhow.
I think he mentioned, if I can recall, there's so many things happened from that time, so I may not remember every single detail.
That's true.
But I think he mentioned that he had just moved into a new position.
Okay.
I think he mentioned something.
So I don't think he was.
So at the time of the rally, he was already in a next position. He was not a senior curriculum officer.
Yeah, but that was Miss Robinson.
Miss Robinson was a senior curriculum officer at the time of the rally, from the information that I received.
Yes, and she said to come speak to her in the morning.
I will speak to her on a Monday.
Monday morning. Okay. Now you also mentioned that the matter was supposed to be dealt with a press release.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell us some more information about that?
Oh, no, that. I remember, as I said, in the conversation with the minister, she told us that they would do a press release to correct the matter. We listened, but we never heard anything. And the conversation of the press release came up again on the 18th of November, when I wrote to the PS, and she said they did do a press release. And I remember telling her in response that if there was a matter affecting our family, and then the Ministry of Education put out a press release to say what had transpired, I think just as a courtesy call, it would have been something they could do to let us know that they were putting out a press release, because to this day we have never heard the press release. And in her response to the letter from our lawyer, Ms. Cara Shingford, she indicated that they had put out a press release, but to this day we have not heard it, so I am not sure whether or not it did or not.
Okay. And you also mentioned procuring a new plaque. I think this was your exact words.
Mm-hmm.
So my question would be, what about the plaques that were given out? What is the situation with these plaques? I would think that, maybe these plaques needs to be, I don't know, but
currently, I cannot say that. I cannot confirm. I guess the Ministry of Education would have to confirm what happened to the plaques that were given out. If the children still have the plaque, I'm saying if, I do not know. If they still have, it means that currently there are 2 second place holders and there are 2 third place holders. So that would be a question of fact that the Ministry of Education would have to answer, because I'm not sure if the children still have the plaque.
And my other question is, why do you think it's necessary? Why bring this out at this time? What?
The Grade 6 National Assessment is a public matter, for want of a better word. When children do that exam, everyone waits with big anticipation to see who the top performers are going to be for a particular year. This is used in so many different ways. It is used to compare schools, to compare children, and it makes the news maybe more than some other events. Additionally, these children are rewarded nationally at a national level. Hence, it proves that it is something of great relevance to the public. My concern really for bringing this out is to see how do we go about when mistakes happen, things happen, but the manner in which we go about rectifying those mistakes can either make us be seen in a positive or in a negative manner. What was quite shocking to me though was the fact that I received an image of one of the students who had received the plaque in lieu of the child who would have received it. And that image was a Facebook post. Now bear in mind, this was a student who wrongly received the third place plaque because it said third place, and there were images of the plaque, there were images of the child and his parents congratulating the child for coming third. That really gave me a shock. I was beginning to wonder, how could something like that really happen? A mistake happened, and there is someone out in the public flaunting something that was not achieved. We live in a world, we live in a society where we have different moral values, moral principles by which we are guided. And if we do not take heed and live our lives as best as possible by following these principles, I'm afraid to say I'm sorry for our nation. What are we teaching our children? What are we as people teaching ourselves? And bringing it to the awareness of the public will do many things, in my opinion. I am not sure if this has happened before. I hope it has not happened before. Currently, it has happened to our family and the next family. And I really hope that it never happens in the future. So if we keep silent when things happen, and we try to find ways to get out of it rather than deal with it, I don't think that's the correct way to handle a situation. Genuinely, human nature, things will happen. But what do we do when these things happen? Okay, we should find the best way possible without causing harm, without doing it to basically embarrass anybody. But at the end of the day, things have to be done right. And in my view, I don't think it was done right. And if we continue along paths like that, I'm afraid to say we better be careful lest we perish as a nation.
Anything else you would like to add, Serena? No? Mommy, anything else you'd like to add before we round up?
I'd just like to make an appeal and be very clear that what transpired with the children was not their mistake. It was a mistake of the Ministry of Education, and that has already been established. However, as parents raising children, we need to inculcate certain moral principles and values. So if my daughter got an invitation to receive an award that she didn't attain, to me as a parent, the best way to right that wrong would be to return it, and teach our children. We need to teach our children that success is great, but it comes with hard work. And by you receiving something that you didn't deserve, what has happened is that you will have robbed two children of the hard work, and I really mean hard work that they put in. You know, it was not a mistake where it was one of the top 5 students who got the plaque by mistake. These children were not even in the top 5. You know, this is really a sad situation for them, because maybe too they felt the need to receive it because they felt a level of success, but it was a pseudo success because it was not something that they had earned, and the children who earned it were deprived of it, and that you cannot fix. Because she received the award and there was no excitement in receiving the award. The excitement, the joy, the thrill of it all was already stolen on the 2nd of November. So for formality's sake, she just received her award. But she didn't get a moment to experience the joy of working hard, and somebody else who I'm not in a position to say whether these students would have and what they got at the grade 6 exam, but they definitely will not deserve it. And if we have to grow our nation along paths like that, and really must say it is a sad story for Dominica.
And any final thoughts on that?
I would like to say two things. When the announcement was made, didn't the principal of the primary schools, and they weren't aware that they did not come out second and third? It's amazing. And then, if you were to look back at the ceremony, you would notice that when the announcer was announcing the winners for first, second, and third for 2020, they did not say first, second, and third. They said next, they said the top performer, then they said next, and then they said next. But for 2021 and 2022, there was, he deliberately, he definitely said first, second, and third. So why was first, second, and third omitted for 2020? I have a problem. It leaves a question in my mind.
No, like we said, it's just a very, very unfortunate experience, and I think we'll all agree that there are so many questions, you know, on all levels. But I want to thank you for being able to tell your story. Like you mentioned, it's something that can never be unhappened, for a better word, for want of a better word. It happened already, and then the like you mentioned, you know, the entire way that it was handled, you know, could have been a little better. So we just again thank you for being able to tell your story, and like you said, we hope that it doesn't ever happen again. So thank you guys, and once again to you, Serena, we wish you all the best as you continue your studies.
Thank you.
And thank you once again for sharing with Emonews.
Well,
So that's it, folks. We are saying goodbye.